Okay, Leaky Brains, back, still Casual Friday. And we're going to talk about a couple of processes that cells do. Okay? Now, basically with these two processes, what most people think is one is done by animal cells, one is done by plant cells. Alright? It's sort of true, but we'll talk about why it's not completely true, sort of at the end. Alright? These two processes, very big processes. Alright? So plants, everybody kind of knows that plants perform a process called photosynthesis. Okay? Now, the problem is a lot of people don't know that there are basically plant-like organisms in the sea. Algae, plankton, okay, phytoplankton. They also photosynthesize. So this happens in the ocean, in waters, okay, in aquatic environments, lakes. It also happens with plants on the land. Okay? Now, the other process, respiration. Respiration basically happens by all other cells that cannot photosynthesize, except for some bacteria and other little small critters that don't need oxygen, okay, to get energy. Okay, other than those little creatures, all other cells that can't photosynthesize basically perform respiration. Okay, there are two pretty much opposite reactions. All right, so let's talk about how they work and where they work. Okay, we know that cells have organelles that perform specific functions. Plant cells have an organelle that is unique to the plant cell. All right, you know that organelle to be the chloroplast. The chloroplast contain pigments that have a function. They're basically like solar panels inside of the plant cell, and they absorb solar energy. So you'll notice with the photosynthesis up here, I wrote sun, the sun right here above my arrow. All right? And basically the sun drives the process of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis can't happen without the sun. All right? So let's talk about a couple things here with photosynthesis and respiration. First, we need a little bit of a basis of why these happen. Okay, the whole point of these happening, and something I didn't write up here yet, is to make also ATP, which is, as we know, energy. Alright, so we're going to kind of see how this happens a little bit. Now, in photosynthesis, let's talk about it first. Okay, the reactants of photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water. And so a lot of people know that if you ask them, what does a plant need to grow? They always say sunlight. Okay, we've got that up here. They always say water. I have to water it and it needs to be in the sun. Well, one thing that we forget because people can't see it and they don't actually give the plant is the carbon dioxide. Plants need carbon dioxide to grow. Just like you need oxygen, plants need carbon dioxide. Okay? So, these two are the reactants. This is what is basically the input of this reaction. Okay? With the help of the sun energizing this reaction, basically the products that are produced by the plant are sugar, glucose, C6H12O6, and oxygen. So plants give off oxygen that we use later. And they make energy. Okay? So that's basically what photosynthesis is. It's using carbon dioxide and water with the help of the sun and changing them, that's what the arrow means, change, again, remember, into sugar and oxygen. So literally, we can say, where do we get the carbons that make the sugar? Where do we get the hydrogens that make the sugar? And the oxygens that make the sugar. And also the oxygens that make the oxygen. Okay? Well, obviously the carbons come from the carbon in carbon dioxide. Okay? The hydrogens come from the hydrogens in water. And the oxygens in both come from either the carbon dioxide or the oxygen in the water. So you can't make something from nothing. You can't. All right? Now we have a problem here. It's not balanced. I have 6 carbons in sugar, in a sugar molecule. I'm only showing 1 carbon over there. So I need to balance my equation. So I need to add 6 carbon dioxides to this equation so I can get basically 1 sugar. Okay? Now, problem. I just basically, with my math, ended up with 12 oxygens because I multiplied the 6 times the whole problem. Okay? So now I have 12 oxygens here plus 1 here. Well, on this side I have only 6 plus 2. That's 8. So I have to balance my equation. Now, in this equation it's easy to balance. I just throw 6's in here. 6, 6, 6. I call photosynthesis and respiration evil reactions because of the 6, 6, 6. Okay? If you think that's bad, whatever. Okay? But that's how I remember. That's how I have my kids remember. Okay? It's evil. Now, with the 6, and the 6, you will notice that I have the same number of atoms on each side. I have 6 carbons here. I have 6 carbons here. I have 6 times 2, which is 12 oxygens, plus these 6 oxygens, that's 18. I have 18 oxygens over here. Okay, and the same thing with the hydrogens. 12, 6 times 2, or 6, sorry. 6 times 2 is 12, and I have 12 hydrogens here. Okay? So that's balanced. So that is the process of photosynthesis. Alright? That is the process of photosynthesis. I'm going to do the process of respiration on its own podcast. Alright? But we've done a few things here. Now, one thing I want to show you. Okay? Why did I draw some of these in blue and some in red? Alright? Well, the products that we just made, sugar and oxygen, they are used by organisms that respire as the reactants. Okay? So we're going to kind of talk about respiration later, but notice that what plants produce, we use. Okay? Organisms use. Okay, so that's photosynthesis. Remember, it happens in the chloroplast. The chloroplast absorbs the sunlight and helps to basically tear these apart and put these together and make some energy for the plant to use. Alrighty? So that's photosynthesis. We'll be back with respiration. Don't go away.